I'm guessing some people would have come to the ground this morning with thoughts of Cardiff 2009 and maybe hoping and expecting a backs to the wall England performance. Should they have expected more than they got in terms of England's second innings today?
Look, it's frustrating to have finished the way it has. I think credit has to go to Australia. We were bowled out today. I don't think it was gifted to them. But ultimately, I think we've got to look further back in the game. And they've fought extremely hard to get into that position. And there's things that we can take from the game, absolutely, from both sides of it. I thought for 3 days we were brilliant. To get into that position of a 90 lead was a strong one. And unfortunately, we couldn't quite get it right yesterday.
I know you'll always base selection on the best information that was available, and who wouldn't want James Anderson in the team, but looking at it now, do you regret the decision to pick him?
No, not at all. He passed every medical testing. He was fit. He was fit to play, and it's one of those freak scenarios where he pulled up, and it's I think because it's the same calf. We're not sure whether it's a slightly different injury or what yet. We'll have to wait and see what the scans say. But it's an easy thing to look back on and say, we'd have done things differently. He passed all of the testing, as I said, and it was a unanimous decision for him to play.
And just finally from me, I know you will sit here and feel confident about still winning the series and 4 test matches to play, but what would give you that confidence right now, Joe?
Well, I think we've got the confidence that we need to do it. It's obviously we'd much prefer to be sat here 1-0 up, but 4 games, we've got plenty of time to think things through before the next one, and it's just very important that we very clear, realistic about how things turned out this time round, and put them right and start really strongly in the next game.
Joe, just the way that the game panned out on that first morning when bowlers had lots of assistance, they took advantage and reduced Australia to 120 for 8. As the pitch kind of flattened out and there was less on offer, England started to struggle, and we've seen that over time, that on those sort of pitches where you don't get much assistance, that's where England find life most difficult. Is that a concern, and do you think that it could be a problem if conditions are like that going through this summer?
I wouldn't say it's a concern. I'd say that it's very difficult when you're a bowler down. And as I say, freak things happen, and you lose a guy with Jimmy's experience. You go into a test match expecting balanced workload for the bowlers, and it can make a big difference. You think Jimmy in those conditions, if he bowls 15 overs, things could have been very different. First innings in general, and it's a different game completely. But these things happen. We take it on the chin, and we move forward and make sure that we're very calculated in how we go about approaching the next game.
And when you see how well Nathan bowled, today, how concerned are you about Moeen's form yesterday on a pitch that still was taking quite a bit of turn?
Yeah, Moeen didn't have his best day yesterday, but that can't happen every game for someone. And I think with Mo, you've got to remember how threatening he can be, and what an asset to this team he has been in the past. And seeing whenever he's been written off it before, he generally comes back stronger, especially in English conditions. So he'll take, he'll be a bit disappointed about how yesterday went and how this game's gone, but I'm sure he'll dust himself down and make sure that he's in a good headspace going into Lords.
What did you think of the shot Jason Roy played today?
Jason's been he's been picked to play in a certain manner, and I think over the course of the 2 games he's found himself in some situations and scenarios which don't lend his style to those particular situations. He's one of those guys that will put pressure back on bowlers. I think he might have, if he had his chance again, might have gone about it slightly differently. But he's been picked to play in his own way, and I think it's really important that when he gets other opportunities further down the line in this series, he continues to keep trying to put pressure back on Australia, and especially Nathan Lyon, because you saw a very short snippet of what he can do, and if the game situation allows, it could be very it could change the game very quickly in our favour.
Will, Chris, Barrett at the back, and then Ali.
You picked a bowler who's coming back from injury in this game, and Jimmy, and it obviously didn't go quite to plan. Jofra is also sort of coming back from injury. He's going to play for Sussex Twos this week. Will the experience of captaining a team a bowler down this week make you more cautious about Jofra, or do you not think it'll make a difference?
I think we've got to go about it in a very calculated manner, as we did with Jimmy. Now, if someone's declared fit to play and there's a unanimous decision to pick someone, you've got to put full trust in that. And then because it's a not a recurring injury, because it's the same area in general, if you like, it's easy to say or ask questions about the process and the decision making going into it. With Jofra, we're in a slightly different situation where he will have played a lot more cricket in between, and we'll have probably a clearer idea of where he's at. And we'll turn up to Lords and make sure that in the next few days we don't make any shotgun decisions. We're very clear about how we're going to select the squad and go from there.
Joe, England haven't come from behind to win an Ashes series since 2005. How confident are you your guys can buck that trend?
Absolutely confident that we can do that. These things are there to be broken, if you like, these records and these situations. So we're not. This team is not your typical English team. It's very much up and down at times, which can be slightly frustrating. But we're more than capable of going against the trend, if you like, and I'm fully expecting us to fight our way back into this series.
You mentioned shotgun decisions. I mean, don't look at Twitter because there's people saying drop half the team, but I'm assuming by that you mean you're not going to panic at this stage and make any radical alterations for
No. As I say, it's very easy to make emotional decisions right now. We're in a fortunate position where there's a long time between these two Test matches. We've got to make sure we're taking all the information, very clear about how we want to approach the next game, and make a call from there.
Joe, you were really disappointed with the way you got out to Nathan Lyon. So do you think it was just Nathan Lyon on that pitch was just that difficult to play, or do you think your batsman technically kind of faltered against him? And is it very difficult to get used to facing high quality spin suddenly? Like when there aren't too many going around in world cricket, how do you get used to suddenly just going on facing it?
I think the conditions were in his favour today, and I think he exploited them very well. As a top order batter, you pride yourself on being able to get through and survive on a number of different surfaces and conditions and situations. And my frustration came from not being able to manage that delivery. I still think it was a good bit of bowling, and that can happen on those types of wickets when someone gets it right on the money. Even still, be looking to make sure that if I find ourselves in a similar situation, we get through it.
Joe, can I just check something you said? Because you said that Moeen would need to get himself and dust himself down and get himself into a good headspace going into Lords. So is that you saying that he will keep his place? Is that you backing him to play at Lords?
As I said, we've got to make sure that we're very clear on how we want to approach the next game and not make too many emotional decisions right now going into Lords. So, as always, we'll sit down as a selection panel, if you like, and pick a squad from there.
And can I just ask, because obviously with the last series in Australia 2 years ago and then this Test match, how much is sort of Steve Smith and the question of how you get him out, how much is that sort of bothering you and keeping you up at night?
He's got to start again when he gets to Lords. We've got to make sure that we make it very difficult for him to get in, and when we get our chance early on, we've got to take it. You've seen when he gets in on it's not doing a huge amount. He can be very difficult to remove, and I think he made it very difficult for us this game. We've got to make sure we don't have any hangover, if you like, of how he's played and gone about this. It's a new week, it's a new ground, new conditions, and we've got to make sure that all the bowlers are very clear on how they want to approach getting him out.
Just on the back of that slightly, obviously there's the mitigation of not having Jimmy for basically the entirety of the match, but Steve Smith getting a stack of runs, Nathan Lyon enjoying himself, Australia's pace bowlers getting more out of a dead surface than England's bowlers. Is there anything worryingly familiar compared to 18 months ago?
No, as I say, 3 days of this game we've pretty much controlled and been in command of, bar an hour and a half's cricket, and it's easy to forget all of the good stuff that we've done throughout this game, with a bowler down. Of course, it's been frustrating the way it's turned out today, but we've got to see it for what it is. We've got to make sure that we're realistic. We learn from the mistakes that we've made, and we come back very hard in the next game.
Joe, you came into this series with a great feel-good factor and momentum after winning the World Cup, and Edgbaston was seen as the fortress. How worrying and disappointing is it that that's all sort of vanished within the last 2 days?
As I say, it's frustrating that we've not started in the manner we want, but still fully believe that we're well in this series, and things can turn around very quickly off the back of one win. Seen emotionally how things changed throughout that World Cup, and I think actually that's probably a good example to the group. You look at where things seemed to be after that Sri Lankan game, and where we finished up and where we finished the tournament, and I think it's very important that we take a lot from that and the way that the group handled that, and the guys that were in that position and in those scenarios and felt maybe or dealt with the pressure, if you like, of that. You take that into this series. I think that'll stand us in good stead, and could work very well in our favour.
We'll do Joe and Dan, and then we'll finish with George and Lawrence.
Joe, there was quite a lot of criticism of the umpiring in this test. I think you had 3 decisions go against you, which you were able to overturn. Did you have a view on how the umpires performed, and do you have confidence in them for the rest of the series?
As players make bad decisions on time to time, and as a result lose a wicket or get smacked out of the attack, umpires are going to make mistakes as well. I think it's very easy to over-criticise and to point the finger. I think sometimes you've got to respect and understand that they're under as much pressure as some of the players, and they might have got a fair few decisions wrong this game. But that's all part and parcel of cricket. That's why DRS is there to overturn the wrong ones. And thankfully, it was there this game.
Just to follow up on that, Joe, rather than, I suppose, the performance of the umpires out in the middle in this test, more broadly and I guess systematically, are you comfortable with how it does all work and how it's done for a while?
It's never going to be a perfect system. There's always going to be areas that can be, made better or we can pick holes at. And I think as players, as long as you understand that and you accept that, and it's both the same for both sides, if you like, you just got to get on with the game.
Joe, there was some talk during and after the Ireland Test that the World Cup winners in the Test team were exhausted, basically. I mean, were you confident in this game that they got that out of their system, or there's still a bit of a hangover?
No, I think they have. I think it was always going to be something that questions would be asked of. I think the guys knew that it was going to be a challenge, and I think from that made sure that they prepared for it as best they could, and we went into this game absolutely ready to go.
Thank you.
Cool, thank you.